It's in the Telegraph, among others, and it is Anne Sacoolas who is to face UK court. After all, this is the woman whose dangerous driving is said, I think uncontroversially actually, to have caused the death of the teenage motorcyclist Harry Dunn. She was, by all accounts, I think, driving on the wrong side of the road. There's no suggestion that she was drunk or under the influence or anything. I think she was... I mean, it sounds extraordinary, but I think she was genuinely confused or had forgotten that she was in a country where they drive on the left. But anyway, she then scarpered. She pleaded diplomatic immunity on her husband's account. This was a couple of years ago now, and she went back to America without facing the consequences. It enraged the British public to a high and sustained degree at the time, and, of course, denied his family the sense of justice that is widely believed to be important in achieving closure. So, as I say, not exactly good news that she's back, but some satisfaction to be had. Andrew, what do you think about this? Is there some interesting angle to the fact that we have won a small diplomatic coup here? That's
but I'm not so sure we had. This is a story from a couple of years ago, of course, and remember at the time there was this diplomatic immunity was cited as the reason why she couldn't be extradited, and it was supported by the US government, the State Department, and I never really understood why, and they were never really giving a reason why this shouldn't be the case.
No.
And interestingly, there was a YouGov survey into American attitudes to this, and only 9% of Americans thought that she shouldn't be extradited. So there is an overwhelming support for the idea that she should face trial. Because, look, I'm sure that, obviously all of this is, we have to be careful with our language because, it's alleged. But the point about this story is that, I'm sure it could well have been, would have been accidental. You feel for someone in that position, but ultimately you have to face justice, don't you? You have to go through the court procedures. It feels like a no-brainer to me, this one, that she should be extradited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried that, she's on US soil and she's doing it over Zoom. So if she doesn't like the result, she can just turn Zoom off, and she's still got diplomatic.
She's still on
immunity.
US soil. I thought she'd come back to the UK.
No, I think they're doing it over. Are they doing it over Zoom?
I think it might be remote, but I think it might be.
Oh, so it'll be on UK soil.
I think so. Although, of course, there are all these weird things like the Air Force bases that they have here, aren't there?
Yeah, like diplomatic.
I think the soil is actually ours, but it's been rebranded or rebadged as American soil. I don't think it has.
But she couldn't do that, could she? I mean, obviously, if she's found guilty, she'll have to serve the time.
Yeah. It sounds as if she's got 9% support, even just for facing trial. Then for absconding from a result it's not going to get any better.
You understand the impulse, don't you? When you've done something like that, if you have diplomatic immunity, that would be your impulse to to use it. But it is a failing. It is,
It's a good question. I mean, I have proved to be an absolutely abject coward when confronted with the law. I was 14 when I was caught shoplifting, and I was ready to turn in all my mates. What did you steal? Immunity.
Yeah, what did you steal?
I was in. It was in Woolworths in St Albans.
Pick and mix.
And it was about this time. It's probably the anniversary of it. I started off with a couple of days of Saturday afternoons of pick and mix, and then there was the odd, a little bit of a bit of brass jewellery or something. Gradually, as we approached Christmas, I started to realise I could nick all the Christmas presents that my mum was giving me extra pocket money to buy. So now I actually had a sort of cash base for the whole
thing. It's a slippery slope, you see.
It really is. And I'm glad I got caught when I did, because if I'd gone 3 or 4 weeks later, successfully, if I got through Christmas, I think that could have been my life of crime.
You'd be a gangster by now.
I would, probably, or dead, probably more likely. Because I was no good at it. That was the thing. I was quite deft at the stealing, but I had no nerve. When the moment came, it was terrible. I do remember it really clearly, that moment when the hand... is on the shoulder.
But then you understand the idea that, you've done something wrong. This, in particular, is such a serious crime. You've taken someone's life. You want to scarper. If you've got the capacity to do so, you want to do that.
Especially, to be fair to her, that she's taken life without any premeditation at all. Is completely reckless.
Yeah, so she'd probably be out by now if she'd faced justice in the first place.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though. Is this going to make the punishment more severe? Probably not, given that the State Department supported her running away.
That is worth thinking about, though, isn't it? If you're going to live for 2 years under the intolerable pressure and burden of knowing whether you're about to be recalled, you might as well be in Nick. Reading up on gardening or something. You could probably be using your time more constructively. She could probably have gone the full, that kind of conversion that the people in jail...
Well, I'd be petitioning the UK government to convert the roads to drive on the right so it doesn't happen again. I mean,
they could do that during the hour that doesn't exist when we would normally go back to British summertime.
Exactly,
just close the roads completely.
Yeah, and maybe do it in a staggered way. Start with the trucks and buses, and then the next week, cars.
Yeah, and finally electric scooters.
Yeah.